Welcome back to your ongoing pursuit of your Bachelor's of Multifamily Science here at the Apartment Academy. The Academy podcast is the multifamily industry's only operations-focused podcast that features insights for industry leaders, investors, vendors, and technology providers. If you invest in multifamily real estate or you're involved in the day-to-day on-site operations of apartment buildings, we are your source for efficient operations and maximizing NOI. Class is in session with today's professor, Chief Operating Officer Brian Kroker from the Lindy Company. Brian's going to share today some unique points of view that the Lindy Company has about what matters in operations, and that's made a big difference in a company that's been growing steadily for over 80 years. So a lot of wisdom to share. Here he comes. All right, Professor Kroker, welcome to the Academy. It's great to have you here today. Why don't, if you wouldn't mind starting off, Brian, just talk a little bit about your background, how you ended up in your role over there at Lindy.
Sure, Daniel. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much. Really looking forward to this. So I've been in real estate 41 years, and I've been with Lindy Communities for the last 4 years as Chief Operating Officer. My career has been an interesting one in that my background is in the finance area, where I spent the first 15 years of my career as a CFO, Chief Financial Officer of real estate companies, both small and some pretty large ones, including one that was publicly traded. And then from there, I gravitated more into operations, property management, and asset management. And that's what I've done for the last 26 years of my career. And I really love what I do. My responsibilities at Lindy Communities are really running the day-to-day operations, and I'm involved in hiring the best people, helping them to become a success, dealing with our customers, and ultimately driving net operating income.
Yeah, thanks for that, Brian. And so Lindy is a pretty decent-sized company, been around for 80 years, so multi-generational family owned company with about 7,000 properties right now, mostly all in the Northeast, right, Brian?
Yeah, that's right. 7,000 units. We're in Pennsylvania, Florida, and Ohio. The bulk of our real estate is in Philadelphia.
Was Lindy your first foray into property management?
No. Like I said, the first 15 years of my career I was in the finance area and accounting, and then the last 26 years I've been in property management. And even when I was on the accounting side, I still was involved in running our property management company. So it's been part of my fabric for most of my life.
Good. Okay. Well, then we can jump into some hard hitting questions then with respect to somebody who's got that kind of experience. And the first one I always am interested in hearing is what do you think the biggest challenges are in property management, Brian?
Without a doubt, in my opinion, the biggest challenge is the people side of it. Really trying to hire the best people, develop those people, retain those people, create a career path for them, and setting up the people for success. That is certainly a challenge. It's in some ways it's gotten more difficult with challenges in finding people, hiring people, training people remotely, and so forth.
What do you think about this industry? People are important. A lot of people in different industries would say, "Oh, people's really important when people are key to our success." But I agree with you. I think there is something more difficult in property management when it comes to managing people. But how would you characterize it? What is it that makes that the biggest challenge here for us?
Well, we're in a service industry. We have to be available 24/7. This is where people live. This is their homes. So they have very high expectations and very, important needs that we have to satisfy. So it takes people that, have that desire to want to please others, and want to communicate well, listen well, and provide those skills. And it's a real people business. Even with all the technology we have, there's still a lot in our business that's been done the same way it's been done for the last, 40, 50 years. Now, as you know, Daniel, there's a lot of things that are coming out that might change what I just said, like artificial intelligence and other things and some of the great things that software companies are doing. But for the most part, there's still a big people element to running this business, whether it be fixing a toilet, which right now we don't have robots that can do that, or whether it be, dealing with a resident who's unhappy about something that really wants to talk to a person and not a artificial intelligence bot or something.
Yeah, look, there's I want to come back to this because I think there are two things that for me. So Brian and I, we've known each other for a while, and I've been come to become fairly familiar with the Lindy company and have a good sense of the culture. And I would say the two things that really stand out for me. One is the focus on people. So I want to come back to that. And every property management company says they focus on people. I really feel like Lindy, it really goes the extra mile to try to cultivate people. I want to talk more about that, and so people can hear about that. But I think the other side of the flip side of that coin, which you just alluded to, is on the technology front. Lindy has a very fine focus on some operational parameters that I think they go missed, I think, by other companies. So much so that Lindy has even developed some of their own technology to kind of satisfy those needs. So let's start with what do you think what do you think it makes the difference there? What's different about Lindy on the operational side that has resulted in this kind of, like I said, a finer focus on the operational KPIs? What do you care about maybe that others don't care as deeply about?
Well, we really recognize that everything is a process, and it's important to understand that process and look for opportunities to leverage technology to make that process easier, more transparent, more efficient, and more accountable. And then also being able to measure how well that process is completed. We subscribe to the metaphor, you can't manage what you can't measure. So as part of our technology implementation and what we do, we want to be able to measure how well things are working so that we can direct our resources accordingly. With so many properties, we have 37 properties, 7,000 units. It's really hard to keep track of all the details in this business. There's so many details. There's so many boxes that you have to check off. And if you miss one box, there's a lot that can go wrong. So the nice thing about what we've tried to do with technology in a lot of different ways is it can identify very quickly where you might be slipping, or on the flip side, where you're doing really well and maybe you can leverage that knowledge or leverage that best practice and employ it elsewhere in a scalable fashion. So it's really a deep understanding of process improvement that I think we have, and a recognition that there's probably a chance to do better and for continuous improvement. And that's probably the last part of it is we strive to always do better. We know that whatever we've done, let's not high five or get cocky. We know that we can do better and continue to make it better and better.
I think the focus on process, I would agree. That is that's been my experience with Lindy is really an exceptional passion about establishing the right process and finding a way to follow through on that. Would you mind giving some examples of things that Lindy has focused on that has made a difference in operations when it comes to process?
And can I mention software names in the process?
Yeah, sure, of course. People are interested to know what I was going to ask that anyway. What technology you guys are using and that sort of thing. So yeah, please feel free. Go ahead.
Yeah. So Daniel, as you know, and I don't. One of the major software implementations that we've done over the years is Leonardo 24/7, and it's really been a key part of how we manage our business because, as you know, but I'll say this to the listeners who might not know, basically what it's done is it's taken all our procedures that were in a binder like this thick and it's put it in a digital form where there's total transparency, again, accountability, and exception reporting, as well as also just documenting and measuring what's being completed. So, in the old days, you created this beautiful procedural manual. Nobody ever read it, even though they claimed they did. You stuck it in a drawer and it collected dust. And then what was this business always about? Mistake management. A lot of people are afraid to say those words, but let's face it, to these listeners, a lot of what we do in this business is mistake management. And that's constantly fixing mistakes, reacting to mistakes, being in the reactive mode, solving problems that probably could have been eliminated if we had followed our procedures. And the nice thing about Leonardo is it helps you to be proactive, to follow the processes that have been set up and are required, incidentally. They're not just there for just the heck of it. They're company policy to make sure that the property is running the way it should be on a timely basis, and that we know what's happening every day. And that's been really a key part of what we've done. There's other aspects, but that's probably the first thing that I wanted to mention. It's really helped us in so many ways. The second thing I wanted to mention is that, we are now involved in investing in artificial intelligence. We're using a software called meetalease.com. That's MEETELISE.com. And what that's done is it has taken over our lead management. As everyone knows on the call, there's hundreds, if not thousands of leads that the industry gets every day for our properties of prospects interested in renting apartments. It's very time consuming to respond to these leads. Many of the questions that the leads are asking are, very repetitive. How much is the rent? How much security deposit do I need? What's your availability? And believe it or not, many of those leads go unanswered in this industry. The figure I've heard is that up to 50% of leads are unanswered. And these leads cost a lot of money to generate because they're all part of a marketing plan through search engine optimization. And we pay for every lead. And like I said, many go unanswered or many aren't answered well or timely. So the beauty of MeetAlease through artificial intelligence is that MeetAlease is working 24/7, never takes a holiday or sick day, never suffers with COVID or anything, and is answering those leads within 5 minutes. Half of the leads are coming after hours when our people aren't working, and MeetAlease is responding to them quickly and is converting up to 30 or 35% of those leads into showings. And that's the goal of MeetAlease, which is a very good conversion ratio, I think, as you know. I could go into more detail, but that's another big thing that we've done in the last year.
The last year has shown a particularly bright light on the potential to utilize virtual tours, virtual, leasing procedures where somebody renting a unit may never even meet with somebody on the staff until after they've signed the lease. How much have you seen that take hold within the Lindy portfolio, and how much of that do you expect to continue to take hold now that we can have people meeting in person again?
It's been huge. Virtual tours, Daniel, has been really huge for both us and the industry. I hear it all the time from my peers and in the various, webinars. And I suspect that it's going to continue really strong. People want to be able to tour when they want to do it, whether it be, 1 o'clock in the morning or whenever. They don't want to have to set up an appointment. They might not even want to interact with our people. So we have not been doing any face-to-face tours in the last year. So it's been either all virtual or self-guided tours as well. And I think self-guided tours will also be something that will continue. But I also think that, post-COVID, there is a place for face-to-face tours. And I would like to think that our team can deal with objections better if they're face to face, and they can also sell, educate, and point out things that a prospect might not see in a virtual tour or even a self-guided tour. It might sound old-fashioned and low-tech, but I do think there's still a place for face-to-face tours.
A place, Brian, or the majority of tours you still would like to have them performed face-to-face?
That's a tough one. I mean, in my heart, I'd rather they be face to face because I think it gives us a chance to, again, sell and educate. But I'm not going to be the one that drives that. It's going to be what the prospect wants. And I think more prospects, now that they've realized that they can do virtual or self-guided, that might be their preference.
Yeah, I think this is a fascinating transition that the industry is going through right now. And if you add the Elise type technology that relieves a person of the responsibility of fielding those calls, and you couple that with virtual tours, do you see like the role of a leasing agent changing or going away? Or I mean, what are you guys thinking of? You guys thinking about the future all the time. Where do you think we're heading on that front?
Well, we have thought about that a lot, and at this point, I hope nobody from my company who's in leasing is listening to this call. But my prediction is in the next 3 to 5 years, the leasing position might go away. There might not be a need for it, unfortunately. But I think the combination of artificial intelligence and virtual self-guided tours, and of course filling out applications online, reduces the need for leasing personnel. And that's clearly one of the things that Me to Lease and others like it, there's other products as well, sell. They actually, as part of the key performance indicators of what I get from them, is the time savings and how much time it saved our people from working leads.
Right. And what I hear is that others consider that if that happens, if they are able to sort of do without that role on site, that what it does is it opens up the opportunity to give greater customer service. Lindy's motto is to provide an exceptional housing experience. The reality is one doesn't always have enough staff on site to really pay attention to the residents in a way we would like. There's a lot of other competing resources for things that need attention. And maybe that's the outcome of this is we shift more into a customer service mode than we do a sales and marketing role. That's handled automatically.
Well, that's always been what we've aspired to as an industry. I mean, I've heard that for years. Well, what are people going to do if this is automated or that's automated? And the default answer is more customer service. That the thing I want to sort of mention about customer services is you also made that a virtual experience. We have resident portals, and most of the industry, I believe, shut down their management offices for the last year or so, and asked the residents, hey, go do everything online or do it on the phone, but please don't come to our office. So certainly there'll be a phone element to it, but we've really tried to steer our residents more into that virtual experience, which, hopefully then there's less time that we have to commit to customer service. Yeah,
it'll be interesting. You were talking earlier about leads, and you talked about a marketing plan, an SEO plan. But what's working? This is always, everyone wants to know how people are driving leads, right? Do you mind sharing, Brian, what's working for Lindy in terms of marketing the properties and getting those leads funneled up to Elise so that Elise can take care of it from there?
Well, of course, it's all about the internet. Everyone knows that most leads at this point, it's probably over 90% come through the internet. And it's all about, in my opinion, search engine optimization, where you're optimizing keywords, so that when somebody goes to Google and searches apartments, in Cheltenham, Pennsylvania, that my apartment property shows up on the first or second page listings. And that's what it's all about. And there's a lot of different ways to optimize that through remarketing and AdWords and so forth. But it's all about driving those leads through the search engines to our properties. And then when they hit our website, having a really good website that, serves the needs of the prospect, keeps them there, and holds their interest. We just updated our website, and that's very important. And then we couple that with the ILSs, the Internet Listing Services, Apartments.com, and RentPath, and Zillow, and others. There's still a place for those, and they're obviously spending a lot more money than I am on SEO. We're spending millions and millions of dollars, so we also need that service in driving leads.
Well, I think it's notable, Brian, that they're relegated to sounds like almost a distant second place, and that most of your leads are coming from organic searches for apartment buildings. And that's interesting. Maybe I've been out of the game for a while, but it used to be certainly the opposite, that you depended upon these ILSs for most of your leads. Do you think this is unique because Lindy's got a better SEO program than most, and so you can gather leads that way? Or is this a trend you think is the other companies are experiencing?
I think it's a trend that other companies are experiencing. I don't think we're unique. I think most companies get their top lead sources their website. And then if you drill down into that, that's coming through, the Google searches, and then driving to, the website. And then second from that would be, the ILSs. The old Craigslist, I think, is pretty much obsolete. That used to be a top lead source. And then, of course, referrals are a big one. Depending on the property, we do get a lot of referrals from current residents.
An SEO strategy, is that executed? Do you engage a specific firm to manage the SEO of all of your property websites, or is it an internal function?
We do. We use a firm. It's called Results Repeat, and they have people that are experts in this, and then our marketing director oversees the work that they perform, and we're constantly monitoring and measuring. We have very detailed KPIs that we look at. Depending on the size property, like on my larger properties, we'll look at that weekly. On the smaller properties, we'll look at it monthly and quarterly. And then we have certain benchmarks that we're trying to achieve, especially on conversion ratios, converting that lead into actually filling out a guest card. And that's really where the rubber meets the road, whether we're meeting those conversion ratio goals or not.
And what do you do? How do you use those measurements, Brian? If you see low conversion rates, what steps do you guys take?
Then it's a matter of, drilling into them more, looking at the keywords again, reassessing those, looking at what words are going at higher dollar amounts. Maybe we tweak the budget that we're spending. Maybe we're blowing the budget, and not spending enough money. I read somewhere the other day I heard this on an Apartments.com webinar yesterday, actually, where it said that, one of the big keywords in Washington, D.C. used to be the metro line, the subway line, right? But since COVID and a lot of people not taking metro, that's not really a keyword that you want to really try to optimize at this point. It's not going to drive leads. So you really want to make sure your keywords are really fresh and relevant, and ultimately converting. I'm shocked again at the level of management. I'm at the level of involvement that you guys have on the SEO side. I don't know. I'd be interested. I'll have to ask others, but I would challenge others to see if they are giving it the same attention that you guys are, Brian. You might be selling yourself short on the amount to which you're giving that your full attention. Let me ask you just one more operational thing. I wanted to go back to, and I want to talk about people again, because Lindy's done something that I've only seen in a handful of other companies, which is you have taken it upon yourselves in some cases to develop technology, plugins, in some cases actual applications you develop from whole cloth. What
What did you fail to find in the market that prompted you, Lindy, to go out and actually become like a little software developer?
Yeah, so first of all, Frank Lindy, as you know, and you know Frank very well, Daniel, he's been the driving force behind this. He just lives and breathes and dreams this stuff. But it was really the old, metaphor or advertisement. There's an app for that. It's that philosophy. There's an app for it, and then apps can make your life easier, better, and more fun. And it's our thought that, everything should be on your phone. Everyone carries a phone. There's no need for paper anymore. And many of our people never sit in front of a computer, especially our maintenance people. So we wanted to make it at their fingertips so that in the middle of doing a job or doing their work, that they could pull it up on their phone. And that's really what we've been trying to do ever since. And we have many apps that are on iPhones. And the people on our team, they know what these apps are. They've been trained on them and they use them every day. And they truly do make work easier, less annoying, and it's a way for us, again, to measure if work is getting completed, because everything that they do ends up on a very elaborate dashboard that we can constantly track how things are performing.
Yeah, I think that's one of the other things I've seen from the Lindy homegrown software portfolio is the dashboards that you have created that really bring all the information together that Lindy's specifically interested in seeing in one place is pretty impressive. It's not an undertaking, I think, that most people would have an appetite for, I imagine. It's expensive and hard to maintain, but do you see that is the industry catching up with you guys with the things that you developed, or do you see this being something that will remain part of your core competency?
I think the industry is catching up, but only in certain areas and not necessarily all bundled under one umbrella. So there could be companies that are doing parts of what we're doing, but not the whole thing. And, we just have so many different applications, all stored within this dashboard or measured within the dashboard. There might be a lot of good bits and pieces out there, and there's certainly companies that do it better than we do because, they have more resources. But I don't believe, I could be wrong, I don't know about the larger companies, has as much data as we do aggregated all in one place. And as much functionality as well. It's
impressive. It's really impressive. Okay, so I'm going to change gears. I'm going to go back to a comment you made earlier about this being a people business. It certainly is a people business, and on two fronts. It is a very employee heavy business. For every, you're an owner manager, so the management fees are not a profit. You're not driven by the management fees as a source of profit, probably as third party managers are. But nonetheless, for every dollar that you have available that a property can make available in terms of management fees to cover that overhead, it's a lot of people out in the field deployed to earn that dollar. But the other half of that is those people are your product. Your customers are just people, right? The product that you're selling is appealing to people. And, when you have 7,000 units, you're going to have a wide swath of humanity in those 7,000 units. And one of the things we know that's difficult about this industry is, in that 7,000 units, which might represent 20,000 people that you house, you're going to have some difficult people. You're going to have some very toxic people. And though, while they might be the exception, the toll that those interactions can take on the morale of your teams in the field, is significant. What does Lindy do to help esprit de corps, keep people's chins up, keep them engaged, enthusiastic in the face of what can at times be a difficult on-site environment?
Yeah, without a doubt, it is difficult. And certainly last year with COVID, it's been certainly one of the most trying years that we've had. as an industry, and even personally, it's been really, really challenging. So, in terms of what we do, there's no one right answer, and I can't tell you we've necessarily done it well. But first of all, we really try to create an atmosphere where we really support our people a lot. I hope people feel like they're not out on their own. If they run into a problem, there is a cavalry, and the cavalry will come in and fight for whatever we need to do. And we really support the people. We try to support them by, first of all, really listening to them and communicating well, really trying to hear what their problems are and what they need to overcome, trying to implement better ways to do things, and also interceding as issues come up and bringing in more resources to help people out. People might have certain limitations in certain areas or feel challenged, and we usually always have somebody else that can come in and pick up the ball and take it to the finish line. Beyond that, we continue to we're all about continuous improvement and training our people. We're constantly training through a number of different methods. And we've also tried to create more of a fun atmosphere during this time. And we've had a number of different programs that we've done, both virtually and even in person, to try to make it more fun. We've given people more time off to be with their families. And we even facilitated hundreds of vaccination shots to, get everyone vaccinated. And that worked out really well. And we also try to create an environment where people can feel like they're, succeeding in their jobs, but also excelling in their jobs. And we've had, many people that have had promotions, and we've created more of a career path for people to get to that next level and feel really good about what they're doing each day. But the last thing is, I think a lot of the people that I work with, I think the majority, are people that recognize that what we do is really important, again, because this is where people live. And we feel like we really have the opportunity to make a difference in these people's lives. And we take that to heart. And that could mean, helping out a resident, who's sick or, needs to get to the hospital or something. And, it's the old saying, like, you get what you give. So by us giving so much to our residents or through philanthropy, which the Lindy family is really big on, we get a lot back, and it helps us through these difficult times and these difficult situations.
Yeah, I think that's one of the areas that I would say, again, as I said earlier, I think Lindy does an exceptional job. One more question on that, then we'll wrap up. If given the environments that folks are into, and given Lindy's real focus on the employee side of things and the culture side of things, what characteristics does Lindy look for in a new employee? What do you think is critical to be successful in this industry?
Well, of course, it's the normal stuff, technical knowledge, track record, experience. But some of the intangibles that we look for are we look for people that really strive to please others, really, really get a lot of satisfaction out of that. People that have shown in their past that they have a really strong work ethic, it could have been, maybe when they were in high school working 2 jobs or something, something in their background. And again, people that just have a deep commitment to really wanting to make a difference. It could be in their, in their character, it could be in their past experiences, the way they were brought up, but people that show that they really care about other people and really want to make a true difference.
What a blessing it must be for your employees to be in a culture such as yours, Brian. Hats off to you and Frank for what you guys have built there. Thank you for taking some time to talk with us today, Professor Kroker. We appreciate it. I think you shared some very interesting insights with folks. Would love to take a deeper dive some other time and talk about some of the KPIs and things that you guys care about, because I think that is one of the things that makes a difference in your operations. But I think the message today to pay attention to process, because it all starts with having process and being measured. And so I think that was a great message for people to hear. So I want to reiterate that. Good to see you. Thanks so much for being on today. You take care. Thanks for logging in and listening today. If you've enjoyed these podcasts and you feel like your management company could use a little advice from some of the professors here at the Apartment Academy, then go to our website, apartmentacademy.com, and click Help Me. We'll send you a questionnaire and provide individualized responses to your answers at no charge that I guarantee will offer you insights on ways you can immediately improve apartment operations. In between now and the next podcast, class is dismissed. My office hours are posted, and we'll look forward to seeing you here next time.